Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Broku. Today is a review of the newest Black Clover chapter, chapter 275, titled Hellfire Incarnate. Sorry guys, I got the review out late today. I went on a little weekend getaway with a lady friend, so just got back now, and now I'm going to get this video out. But I did read the chapter, and I thought it was really good, but I'm going to go into it with my review, summary, and analysis. If you guys do want to hire me as an online personal trainer, my website will be linked down below. With that being said, let's get into this chapter review. So, basically, it starts off with Noct revealing the plans the Dark Triad have, because remember, Noct, he did sneak into Dante's castle, and he did discover their plans. Now, they are actually right now trying to start the ritual, and basically there is 4 different locations of importance. One in the middle, which is the site of the Advent of Qliphoth, and that is where Yami and William are stored. And then there are 3 different circles outside this other circle, and that is where the Dark Triad are located. Dante to the left, Vanica to the right, and Xenon up top. Basically, Noct says that they're going to defeat all members of the Dark Triad and make it so that the ritual can't operate. By doing so, we can stop the Advent of Qliphoth and prevent the gates from opening. Now, one thing I do want to mention when it comes to this is he does explicitly defeat all 3 members of the Triad, and that makes me wonder, like, you would think that if all 3 of them are needed, you'd only need to be able to defeat one of them to stop the Tree of Qliphoth ritual. So it might be that they need to stop all of them then, and maybe if one's present, it just the Tree of Qliphoth is summoned slower. This might mean that if one of the Dark Triad survive, that they can still get this ritual going through. So it doesn't mean that, I guess, you have to defeat one of the Dark Triad or even 2 of them, but you defeat all of them to stop this ritual. Now, basically it does get revealed that he says we could technically use anti-magic to destroy Qliphoth itself, however that is not guaranteed to work. He says if they destroyed it by just brute force, Yami and Vengeance would die, and he says that basically they would never be forgiven. And he says the Triad are in 3 different spots on the perimeter of the magic circle, and they're splitting into 3 different groups to attack them simultaneously and crush them all. So the 3 different squads are as followed. Squad 1 is Yuno, Longris, and Nozel. Squad 2 is Rill, Dorothy, and Charlotte. Squad 3 is Noct, Jack, and Fugolion. Basically, what was stated that there's going to be a diversion outside the castle. That's what Mereoleona is doing, and that because of that, they're going to run into some Dark Disciples. So each of these squads will have to leave 1 member behind to act as a decoy so that the others can go through. And this panel just shows that Nozel, Fugolion, and Dorothy will be the ones to hold back these Dark Disciples, and it will probably eventually join up with the squads later. And this is proven later, and it's just foreshadowed here. But we get a flashback, not a flashback, but a viewpoint change to Mereoleona fighting the ancient demon. Now, the attack from last chapter did do some damage, but it did not defeat the ancient demon. And with this reveal, it goes to Mereoleona thinking back to when she talked to Noct, and she thinks also back to her fight against the otherworld magic that was being emitted by Zigred, and she said, back then I learned there were things my magic wouldn't work on. And then Noct seeks out Mereoleona in the volcano magic region, and she is bathing in a fall of lava. And so yeah, we get nude Mereoleona covered in lava here, and she's like, what do you want? And Noct is like, wow, you're crazy, but can you put on some clothes, please? And Mereoleona, she doesn't really care about Yami and Vengeance getting captured, but she is curious about the people that essentially captured them. But basically, Noct entices Mereoleona to join them by saying, I will find you an ideal opponent to gauge the results of your training. And Mereoleona says, he was right. It showed me that I could still get stronger. This is fun. And she thinks, I will burn away everything. And she says, flame magic. And she says, to begin, I will defeat a legend. And she says, Hellfire Incarnate. And she basically covers herself in fire, magic, and mana. Now, this essentially does confirm that this is the ancient demon that Lumiere fought way back a long time ago. And this essentially also shows that this ancient demon should be as strong as that one as well. I've been saying that the most logical conclusion is to assume it's equal, not that it's weaker or not that it's stronger, but that it's equal. And this essentially confirms it, because, I mean, Noct knew that this thing would be there, and she even refers to it as a legend. And we know that the entire tale of Lumiere, the first Wizard King, versus the ancient demon was a legend. So she is defeating a legend here, and that this basically does confirm that, as we'll see, that Mereoleona is at the very least as strong as Lumiere, if not stronger. I'll go as to why. Now, the Spade Rebels are watching this fight, and they're like, "What phenomenal magic!" It's as if her body itself has become mana, and she starts just beating the crap out of the ancient demon. She's moving faster than it can hit her, and she dodges an attack, just lands a bunch of just devastating blows, and after she essentially knocks it back, she activates Mana Zone full release, and she says, "Go back to sleep, this time forever." And she activates Kaleidos Brachium Purgatory Abyss with this new, I guess, it's almost like a mana skin, but completely more advanced than that, and she even calls it Hellfire Incarnate, and with that combination, essentially it looks like the ancient demon has been defeated. And then it pans to the essential matchups that are going to be happening in the probably near future chapters. And that is Rill and Charlotte will be taking on Vonica, with likely Dorothy to join them later. You have Yuno and Longrus fighting Xenon, with Nozel likely joining them later. And then you have Jack and Noct fighting Dante, with likely Fulgolion joining them later. Now, honestly, thought that Nozel would be matched up with what I thought was going to be Vonica, Nozel, because that's the tie. Vonica was essentially the reason as to why Nozel's mother was killed. So I thought Nozel would be matched up against her. I also thought that Charlotte would be matched up against Dante or Xenon, because it was basically their faults that Yami got captured. While Dante is the one that caused Yami to get weak enough to be captured, Xenon was the one who captured him. I thought it'd be one of those two, but nope, she's going against Vonica. I think these fights are going to be absolutely phenomenal. So before I cover these fights, I want to just jump back to Mereoleona real quick. Now, it makes sense that she might be able to defeat the Ancient Demon, because she does say Hellfire Incarnate. And Hellfire is a common thing used in different fantasy systems or magic systems or power systems. And it's like fire straight from hell, and it's, you know, more powerful than normal magic. And I think that that probably makes her arcane, because she's calling it Hellfire Incarnate, and it lets her defeat a demon. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see. So she might be arcane now, at least only in that form, maybe kind of how like maybe Zephyr is arcane, but Yuno himself is not as normal magic, at least. But with these fights, so we got Charlotte, Rill, and then probably what would be joining them is Dorothy going against Vonica. I think that would be interesting, because you would have, once Dorothy shows up, the glamour world, and that would be making Vonica fall asleep as she's fighting. And then you would have Charlotte, who might be arcane because she is affected by a curse and might be able to use that. And then Rill's painting magic paired with the glamour world's like dreams. That's going to be a very potent combo. And then, of course, the one that makes sense is Longrus going with Yuno against Xenon. Yuno's wind magic and Zephyr, and then Longrus's offensive spatial magic. Remember that what Yuno did against Zagred is with Zephyr, he used it to essentially combine the dregs of people's mana. Well, he'd be able to combine Zephyr with Longrus's offensive spatial magic to create a weapon that can maybe counter Xenon's spatial magic. I think that's going to be a really cool match. Remember, Yuno and Longrus did really recently do a little bit of training prior to essentially take down Xenon, so it makes perfect sense. And then you have Jack and Noct. This again is a perfect combination to take on Dante. You have Jack Slash, which they adapt when they go against magic. So Jack Slashes might adapt to Dante's body magic. And when it comes to Noct, it kind of depends here. He did leave Guimodel behind, and Guimodel might very well be Asta's new devil now. I made a video on that this week if you want to watch that. But if he did have Guimodel, this would be even better matchup, because then you'd have Guimodel maybe using Pack on Jack, and that would be crazy. Besides that, Noct should be quite capable here. Remember guys, Noct in his base form defeated a Dark Disciple without difficulty, and on top of that, he has his Devil Union mode, and on top of that, he has Mana Zone. Each of those should be a massive multiplier in terms of power, as remember, just the Asta's 2-horn black form, that's a massive increase in power over his base form, yet the Devil Union is a vastly superior transformation to just a partial transformation. And then Mana Zone is a many times multiplier. So Noct is drastically above Dark Disciples. So I wonder what his other magic types will be, or I guess characteristics from the other devils, because if he doesn't have access to Gimodello, he'll at least have 3 other devils and their characteristics as well. So looking forward to that. And then again, Jack Slashes will work very well with that. And then Fulgolion will be with them when they fight. And that'd be interesting to see Fulgolion going against Dante. How will his fire magic go against gravity and body recovery? I mean, maybe combine it with Jack's slashes, and it's like flaming slashes. It burns him. I don't know how they'll do it, but they'll make it work. And then Nozel, I didn't really talk about him against Zenon, but Zenon has these huge area effects for bones. Nozel, maybe his area effect will work with his Mercury, and that can maybe help cancel out Zenon's massive area of effect of bones. I think that could be a huge play in that matchup. So overall, the takeaways from this chapter is that Mereoleona is a absolute beast now and possibly arcane. Her power at least rivals Prime Lumiere, which is crazy that this series is already getting there, because essentially what this means is okay guys, let's just be clear. Let's just be very honest here and logical. At some point in this arc, Asta will be the strongest character. At least, if not, he'll be tied with Yuno, because Yuno will probably keep up with him somehow. And Noct even says this, that Asta will be the strongest character, because of his Devil Union and anti-magic, and this means he'll be stronger than Mereoleona. And Mereoleona just defeated the Ancient Demon by herself, when Lumiere could not. Lumiere could not defeat the Ancient Demon. This means that Mereoleona is stronger than Lumiere, and Asta is stronger than Mereoleona, which means that Asta will have surpassed Prime Lumiere. So, this is crazy that the Wizard King of Legend will now be surpassed by Asta very, very, very soon. So, just keep an eye out for that. I know people are still going to argue against it, but just going by all logic here, guys, we have to assume the Ancient Demon is at least equal in power. Now, of course, it could be very well likely that the Ancient Demon is revealed to be weaker, and honestly, I would kind of hope for that, maybe. I don't want Prime Lumiere to be considered weak, because if Mereoleona right now is stronger than Lumiere, which she likely is, that means that if we get a few more arcs, then Prime Lumiere will be looked at as essentially a weakling in comparison to powers, because then people are going to get even stronger due to power cliffing. But besides that, we get the matchups of the 3 different squads. What you have here is Noct, Jack, and Fulgolion versus Dante, Dorothy, Rill, and Charlotte versus Vonica, Yuno, Longverse, and Nozel versus Zenon. We're really excited to see this. Maybe we'll see some of the devils from the Dark Triad. What I wouldn't be surprised here is if 2 of the Dark Triad fall, but 1 survives and wins, and maybe a squad gets wiped out. If not killed, they get maybe knocked unconscious, and thus a devil gets brought into the world, because remember, it does say that they need to defeat all the Dark Triad. So what I would think is how this ritual works is the Dark Triad, maybe when they're in these circles, it powers the Tree of Cliffoff in the middle, like as in Yami and William in the middle, and they use 3 of them just to make it go faster, or maybe makes it more powerful. And then what happens from there is if 1 gets knocked out, you only have 2 of the 3 Dark Triad, maybe it goes a bit slower. Then if you have 1 of 3, it goes even slower. But if you have at least 1, it will work. So I think that's what be happening here, is 2 of the Dark Triad get defeated, and if 1 survives, the ritual will still take place. But that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of these matchups? How do you think they're going to go? And let me know what you think of how strong Mereoleona is. That being said, hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...